Lovely fall day, or a winter day, I guess, to start our Monday morning off. Item number 2, new councillor business. Does anyone have anything they'd like to bring forward?
I suppose there's
Councillor Malkinson.
a couple of things, Your Worship. Good morning. Wonderful to see you here. Last week, thank you very much, Councillor McFadden. I very much was excited to attend the AGM of the Dawson Creek Athletic Association. I believe it was last Wednesday. It was awfully cold evening, and I think that stymied the attendance a little bit, but nonetheless, it was a good meeting. I'd like to also, Your Worship, congratulate the local Rotary Club for an incredibly successful fundraiser that they held over the weekend for, I suppose, the fundraising effort going on for people affected by the disaster in the Philippines. It's my understanding that they raised over $40,000 in one evening, so congratulations to them. Also, I suppose at one point in the meeting I'd love to have a conversation about where we are at currently with strategic planning. I see that we've got our we had our existing session cancelled, and I'd just love to have a update on that at some point. So, thank you.
Thank you. I'll bring an update council on mayor's business on the strategic planning. Appreciate you bringing up those other items. Again, congrats to the Rotary Club, as you've indicated, for their efforts on the weekend. Anything else? My hat keeps going. So we have our minutes of our regular meeting of council of November 18th for adoption. We have a motion, Councillor Schumann, seconded Councillor Malkinson. Discussion, all in favor, opposed, carried. Minutes of our public hearing of council, bylaw 4181 for adoption. Moved by Councillor Wilbur, seconded by Councillor Schumann. Discussion. Sorry, was there any errors or omissions?
Looked good.
All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Any business arising of the minutes? Correspondence. So, item 5.1, Councillor Malkinson.
Your Worship, I move that we receive this letter from the Honor and Awards Secretariat for information.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Wilbur. Do we want to give a quick overview of it for the media?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Duncan.
Well, I believe that this is a piece of correspondence from the Honors and Awards Secretariat asking for nominations for the Order of British Columbia. I think in the letter it says that there's, I think, in the number, somewhere in the number of 345 distinguished British Columbians that have been bestowed with the honor of the Order of British Columbia since 1990. And I think that our past practice on receiving this letter has been to receive it and put it out to the public for any interested people to seek the appropriate route to nominate people in kind. So,
Thank you for that. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Item 5.2. Councillor Schumann.
For information.
First moved, Councillor McFadden second. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Item 5.3. Councillor Malkinson, sorry.
I think we've got this proposal. We're seeing it for the second time here from Mr. Shields, Your Worship. I would like to move that staff, considering existing council direction on this matter, make recommendations on the this proposal here from the residents of the neighborhood.
So you're making that by way of a motion?
Yes, Your Worship. Sorry.
So first I need a a seconder before I
Point of
can,
order, yes.
Sure.
Haven't we already asked staff to consider this in the budget preparation for next year? So why are we doing it again?
Oh, in the budget preparation?
That's what I thought.
it's,
That's why I looked at Jim there.
I'm not sure that,
Yeah, through your worship, there will be a budget item for your consideration. Our recommendation may not be exactly what's asked for, but there will be a recommendation.
Councillor Malkinson?
Seeing there was no report that accompanied this one from staff, I guess I had thought that the onus was on Mr. Shields here to clarify his request a little bit. But if there's a budget proposal coming forward, I don't see the necessity in having a report from staff. So if I could withdraw what, well, we didn't even get it
We didn't have a
seconded, did we?
seconder, so yeah, and it did, because it does carry it, we'll just refer it to administration for, to include it in. If it hasn't already been done so, that we just refer it for our budget deliberation,
Sure.
budget consultation, budget discussion. And is there been a motion on that to do that exactly? Do you know?
I don't believe there's been a motion exactly on that, so it wouldn't hurt to have one now.
All right. Councillor Malkinson, seconded by Councillor Wilbur. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. So we have delegations set for 9 o'clock, so perhaps we can move to item 7, our reports. First report, item 7.1. Councillor McFadden.
For information, Your Worship.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Schumann. Discussion? Councillor Parslow?
Yeah, I was pleased to receive, oops, am I on? I'm not sure. Yes.
I think it's on.
Is it? Okay, thank you. See that the assessment base is increasing with some cautions. And I think this is good because we need our assessment base to increase as we deal with the gap in our fiscal matters. I just want to flag a very profound concern that we might want to reduce tax rates because of this increased assessment. We need to increase our revenue and as well as deal with expenditure. It's a two-pronged approach, I think, to dealing with our fiscal gap. So anyway, it's healthy with the caveat that Shelley put in the report about the mix.
Any further discussion? Councillor Malkinson?
This, I was just wondering as I read through the information, Your Worship, about the change in the average assessment. I believe it's going up by a few thousand, and I'm trying to, yes, to 249 from 233 in 2013. And I was wondering about the impacts that would have on our on the analysis that we do on the average home as we do our budgeting process. I suppose I was just thinking, I was just asking myself preliminarily if that would have any effect on our budgeting process this year, but maybe it would be too early in the process to ask if it is having an effect. I'm not sure.
So it's, right now, it's absolutely the necessary information for us to be able to start to gather
Yeah.
the implications of what's happening to the assessment, increase in assessment, increase in market values, the mix of our business between residential, commercial, industrial, both light and heavy. And so to me, it is a little bit early because it's going to
Yeah.
start. It's just information for us now to be able to start that process of understanding the implications in early January when we start our budget deliberations and discussion. Now, I'm gonna make one point. To me, having seen this now, this data analysis for the first time in a lot of years, I was struck by, from 1999 was the last time I saw it as a member of council, at the residential assessment at $230 million to today at 1.3 billion. I think was the number, about 1.2 billion, and it's up about 100 million this year from last year. So it's amazing to me what's happening in our community with assessment increases in the property values of both commercial, residential, and industrial. So it's a very, very positive indicator to me in terms of when people look at developing in our community, why would they? And it's huge, the implications of what's going on. So I echo that. I think it's very valuable, as Councillor Parslow has indicated, very valuable information. And it begins to set the stage for us to understand what we do with rates, ratios, as it impacts our residential, commercial, and industrial assessment for 2014 and beyond. Any further discussion? Sorry.
No, it's good.
I
It's all good.
love this. That was great. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Item 7.2, moved by Councillor Schumann, seconded by Councillor Wilbur. Discussion?
I'm moving that for information, by the
Yes?
way.
No further discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Item 7.3, our library board appointments. Councillor Wilbur.
I'll make the motion that report number 13-272 from the Director of Corporate Administration regarding the library board appointments be received. Further, that Michael Dion be appointed to the Dawson Creek Library Board for a 2-year term ending December 31st, 2015. And further, that Councillor Malkinson be reappointed as council liaison to the library board for the remainder of his term in 2014.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Schumann. Discussion?
Well, I'm thankful that they're not fed up with me yet, Your Worship.
They and being us or them?
That's what they're
Well,
telling me.
yeah, sure. We could ask ourselves that question too.
I'm teasing. Councillor Parslow.
The comment that Councillor Malcolmson made just reminds me of I don't know if you've had time to do this yet, but at a meeting some time ago, maybe your inaugural meeting or the meeting after, discussion about the concern some of us have that there are some groups that we have no liaison with that we should, and that maybe we need to review the purpose of when we have people attached to organizations, the rationale for the attachment. And you were said that you were going to reflect on that and come back to council about that. So a question, I guess, related to this is, have you had chance yet to review that matter?
Part of it I have been, and part of it I have looked at some of it. I'm going to tie a component to it around the strategic exercise that we go through, hopefully in December or January, whenever we're able to organize that. Because I think, to me, part of that structure that we set in terms of our liaison and how we impact and influence our community, I think I need to tie that to that conversation and discussion. So I've been kind of holding that for that purpose.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Item 7.5.
7-4, Your Worship.
Sorry, I jumped ahead. 7.4. Councillor Malkinson.
Move that this report from the Director of Corporate Administration regarding the airport hangar lease agreement be received, and further that the lease agreement between the City and Cactus Forwarding be approved for a 3-year term ending November 30th, 2016, at an annual cost of $4,200 plus tax per year.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor McFadden. Discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. 7.5. Mauser, Councillor Malkinson.
All good. I move that this report from the Director of Corporate Administration regarding the Mile Zero Parks Society Board of Representatives be received, and further that staff be directed to re-advertise for the expressions of interest to fill the vacant city representative position on the Mile Zero Parks Society Board.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Kenny. Discussion? Councillor Wilbur?
I just want to express a thank you to Marilyn Howard for all her years of service and dedication to that board, and wish her wish her a speedy recovery in her health, and that we're thinking of her, but do appreciate the effort she's put in on that board for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, Councillor Marilyn, she's been in our community for a long, long time, and I automatically, that just jumped to my lips that she was a councillor in our community and has done a lot for this city. Thank you for that. Discussion? Any further? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Item 7.6. Councillor Schumann.
I'd move the report number 13-279 from the Director of Corporate Administration regarding the Alaska Highway Community Society be received. Further, that Mr. Bud Powell be appointed as the City of Dawson Creek representative for the Alaska Highway Community Society, with the alternate to be appointed by council by Mayor Bumstead. Further, that the appointee and the alternate be bound by the bylaws and regulations of the Alaska Highway Community Society.
Thank you. Councillor Kenny, seconded. Discussion? Councillor Parslow?
Just first of all, information, there's reference in this report to the Northern BC Tourism Association, as well as the Alaska Highway Community Society. Do both bodies receive funding from the city, or is it which and how much, or does just one get funding?
Shelley?
Through your worship. The Alaska Highway Community Society has gotten $10,000 a year for the last 4 years. And the other organization, I don't remember the initials, is
NBCTA.
Yeah, that's the overarching organization to tourism and the Visitor Information Center. So we fund tourism and the Visitor Information Center annually through the budget allocation, but we don't give them money specifically to the overarching.
And the purpose of the $10,000 is?
A commitment was made in the past to support that organization as it moves forward to try to get the Alaska Highway as a historical
National Historic
national
Designation.
historic
Okay.
designation. Thank you.
So again, that raises the question in my mind as it relates not to the matter before council, because the 10,000 is specific, but the NBCTA, we have no elected representative on the NBCTA board, and they receive hundreds of thousands of dollars of taxpayers' money. I think that is a flag in your considerations around the matter I raised earlier with the library. Yet we might have, for instance, liaison with a group that have received just 20,000 from the council. So I think there's a big gap there.
We certainly, in relation to the topic around both this motion and tourism, I've asked Bud Powell and April Moy to attend at our next council meeting because I thought it very timely for us to be able to have that update and overview, partly in relation to the motion that was made approximately a month ago when the issue came before council when we were asked about Darcy Dober as the local businessman who was being appointed, and the motion was then made that we have a representative for council. So we need to have that conversation and discussion. I completely agree with that, and as a result, I've asked Bud and April to attend council at our next meeting to provide us with an update and an overview of that so we can understand the issue much better, because I certainly want to be able to do that. And as you indicate, Councillor Parslow, for us to indicate that on an ongoing basis as we enter into our budget deliberations. It's important.
Important.
Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Item 7.7, report from the Director of Infrastructure Sustainable Development. Councillor McFadden.
Move that report number 13-273 from the Director of Infrastructure and Sustainable Development regarding Surewater Campaign Phase 2 be received, and further that council direct staff to proceed with the Surewater Phase 2 communications plan as presented with an estimated budget of $50,000.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Parslow. Discussion? Councillor Parslow?
Okay, this is very important work. We talked about it, and I'm glad to see it's being brought forward. I thought the city did a really good job with the Phase 1, and this will, I'm sure, be equally as important. I've got a couple of concerns, though. Well, it's just one concern, but one question. The question I have, and again, staff can probably refresh my memory. The survey that was sent out was professionally done. I know that. Did we review the survey before it went out? I have a hunch we did, but I'm not sure.
Get that over to you, Kev.
Through your worship, yeah, the questions were circulated to council prior to them going out, forming the survey.
Good. I would like us to do that again for my personal reasons, but people who did respond to the survey did talk to me, and I'm fully in favour of what happened. Don't get me wrong, it was well done. I just like to be aware of the survey before it goes out and the questions. The second is, I guess, again, I'm reiterating a frustration I have as a member of this council, and it's not with council, it's not with staff, it's just with the real problem we have. I guess all bodies have it with the engagement of people. All the stuff that's going to happen here is good stuff, and I'm all in favor of it. But it seems to me that we've got to try some other approaches to supplement this. If we're going to live up to one of our guiding principles of an engaged and informed public, I believe that, you know, I mean, the electronic Facebook stuff is just talking into blind areas, you know what I mean? Dialogue only comes when you're face to face and you're truly listening to each other. And I think people need to really listen to each other about the implications of this. We have a body of people who I commend them for attending our public forums. The budget ones are a classic example. But we've got to reach somehow a broader group. We did have a good number of people respond to the survey. But again, that's sort of just one-way communication in a sense. And I just think we've got to really see if we can supplement what's planned here with some more face-to-face dialogue with a broad spectrum of the community. So I'm glad this is before council. I will certainly support it 110%, but I just have that frustration.
Thank you. Discussion? Councillor Malkinson?
I just, I suppose, I thank Councillor Parslow for what he said. That's something that's, well, engagement, something that's near and dear to, I'm sure, everybody here. But I had a question on the, I suppose, the campaign itself, maybe a little bit more on the details, perhaps the objectives of it. As I look at the communications plan and look at the objectives that are underneath it as well, I think back to what actually initiated this process to begin with. I think about the proposal from the group of gentlemen and that committee, and how exactly, well, I do believe that we're yet to respond to those folks. And is it after this consultation, after this phase 2, that we'll finally see council making a determination on the proposal from those gentlemen? I suppose that's a question to staff.
Well, through your worship, this initiative now belongs to the entire community. Doesn't belong to any proponent. The proponents brought you a proposal that triggered this action, but the community now owns this process, not any one group. As to when you will feel that you have enough information to make a decision about whether you're running a water line to the Peace or the Murray, that's entirely up to you. You could do it today if you wish. But I don't hear from you that you are anywhere near that.
Don't tell me.
Further discussion?
Do it, I dare you, says Jim.
No.
Thank you.
I'm back to 92,
Thank you.
so that was-
After that big thing you just said.
Thank you for that. And certainly I concur with the comments of Councillor Parslow in terms of the aspect of how we find that way to engage in communication. And there is, to me, the magic bullet isn't, does it work for us? Does it work for our community? And how do we find those ways that everybody interacts and wants to interact, and how we find that magic and communication is going to be the success, I think, of increasing the overall success of the community. So it's a great conversation to have. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Item 7.8. Councillor Parslow.
I move that report number 13-275 from the Deputy Director of Community Services, Rio O'Brien lease agreement be received. Further, that Council approve the attached lease agreement between the City of Dawson Creek and School District 59 for the O'Brien School Classroom and Gymnasium for a 2-year term, commencing January the 1st, 2014, in the amount of $17,489.40 annually.
Thank you. Seconded. Councillor Wilbur. Discussion? Where's your home? Discussion?
Not big enough for this today.
All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. So we're 9 o'clock, and so I'd like to move to our delegations, if we can. So do we have our...
We're just going to check, Your Worship.
All right, thank you.
My head is small, I don't have any trouble keeping it on.
They still need an answer though, right? Even though it belongs to the whole community.
So our first delegation, I'm just going to introduce Arden Smith, Jane Harper, and Sandy Ash from the South Peace Community Resources Society. Are in attendance this morning read the proclamation for the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. So welcome. Anybody want to wear the hat? Whereas on December 6, 1989, 14 women died as a result of a massacre at l'École Polytechnique in Montreal. And whereas this tragic occurrence reflects the pervasive violence against women in our society, and whereas we gather on this day to pay honor to and remember women who have been victims of violence, and whereas all citizens have a role and obligation to promote a safe environment for women in our city, and whereas we stand in support of all women who experience violence, and whereas we want to prevent violence from happening in the first place, and whereas through our individual and collective actions we can make a difference. Now therefore I do hereby proclaim the day of December 6, 2013 as National Day of Violence and Action, Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women in Dawson. Sorry, sign that. So thank you for coming today, and thank you for bringing bring this to the attention of our community. Thank you.
Anyone who can, we'd love to see you out Friday night. We're walking from the NAR Park at 6:30 over to the United Church where there'll be a service at 7.
Thank
And
you.
then refreshments afterwards.
Thank you. Our next delegation this morning is Mr. Ryan McIver, Andrew Nash, Shannon Dunsmore from Global Spectrum Facility Management at the Encana Event Center. They're in attendance this morning regarding their 5-year service proclamation and presentation. So Ryan and Yep, I'll do the proclamation. Morning. Good morning. Come on up. So welcome. Come on up. Whereas 2013 marks the 5th anniversary of the Encana Event Center in Dawson Creek, a multi-use facility that has hosted a diverse range of world-renowned, multi-genre concerts, events, national hockey, and curling tournaments. And whereas the Encana Event Center is a partnership with Global Spectrum Facility Management and the City of Dawson Creek, and recognizes the contributions into the quality of life in Dawson Creek and the Peace region. And whereas since opening the doors officially in 2008, the facility has hosted over 400,000 fans and brought world-class entertainment to Dawson Creek and the Peace River region, making the Encana Event Center the premier facility in northern Alberta and northern British Columbia. And now therefore I do hereby proclaim the week of December 2nd to December 8th as the Encana Event Center Week in Dawson Creek, and wish much continued success to the center.
Yay.
So your worship is part of this.
Come on in, guys.
Get on the other side. We'll have a bear sandwich. As part of this, we have to celebrate the 5 years, we have a gift, a presentation for the city.
Thank you.
To help celebrate. There's so many images and so many successes. So we tried to pick a couple. Anyways, for the city of Dawson Creek, just a happy anniversary, highlighting some of the artists and the many events that the venue has hosted.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You know, it is, when you look at this and you see the attention that's been brought to our community through world-class entertainment, it really is unbelievable. And every time there's an event that brings that attention to our community, I'm amazed at, you read the news, either the provincial or national news, advertising events that are going on within the province. Dawson Creek and the Encana Event Center's attention and entertainment is always there, and I just think it's unbelievable that this is occurring in our community at this point. And so I really appreciate the efforts of Ryan, the staff, and Global Entertainment for Spectrum, in terms of bringing this to our community. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I love that there's Gene Simmons and Bert on there, Ernie and Bert.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Shows the diversity of the center for sure. Thanks, guys.
Oh, here's your proclamation.
Yeah, you gotta, you know,
Great, thank you.
frame that thing up.
Thank you, guys.
That's always lovely.
Next delegation, we have Kate Stevenson from Fitzpatrick Immigration is in attendance regarding her immigration consulting services, new to our community. So I don't have a proclamation, it's an update and giving Kate an opportunity to give council a quick hit on her services. Sure. Do it, you can do it there. So good morning and welcome, Kate.
Morning. Okay,
Morning, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity to introduce my new business. I'm Katie Stevenson, and I've been in the community for a while, mostly in the area of settlement services and education. And recently I decided that I'm going to go into business, and I've become a licensed immigration consultant. In order to practice immigration law, to give advice, you need to be either a lawyer in good standing or a licensed consultant. And last year in January, I got my license, and so now I can offer some services to local businesses, local families. Some of the things that I can offer to local businesses would be primarily education. So what are the roles and responsibilities of an employer when you're hiring a temporary foreign worker, because it's a fairly complicated process. I can also do recruitment for them. I have my Alberta and BC Employment Agency licenses. And I can do labor market opinions, provincial nominee programs, those sorts of things for people who are short-staffed and can't find somebody in the community or in the province. I can also provide services for local families who wish to be reunited with their parents or their spouses, whoever happens to be overseas, either permanently or temporarily with visitor visas or permanent residency applications. For local temporary foreign workers, I can give them general advice on immigration law and some of their rights under immigration, work permits, and permanent residency applications. And then I offer a couple of other services like citizenship applications for people who've been here for a while, and permanent residency cards, those sorts of things. And if there's something else that is a need in the community, like refugee law, I have a network of senior consultants and lawyers that I work closely with, so I can refer them to somebody that is more experienced in that area. And if anybody wants to make an appointment, I have an office now in the Chamber of Commerce building, and a website, so it's fitzpatrickimmigration.com. And I brought some brochures for council, so you guys can take a look. And does anybody have any questions? Or yes, sir.
Yes, Councilor McFadden.
Good morning. Thank you for coming in. I'm personally aware of 2 small business people that just can't get technicians to work for them.
Okay.
Now, what's the timeline if one were to start the process of hiring a foreign worker? Is it 2 months, 2 years, or?
It depends. If
Yeah.
they want to do it temporarily, currently labor market opinions are taking roughly 4 months to process, and then it depends on where they find their foreign worker for the work permit application. I'd say minimum time frame would be 6 months to go temporary, and then permanent is actually a little bit faster. You'd probably be looking maybe about 4 to 5 months at the fastest that way.
And if you have a temporary worker here, and they want to become permanent, do they have to go back to their country of origin and reapply, or can they do that while they're here?
They can do that from here if they're going under the provincial nominee program or the Canadian experience class. There are a couple different avenues for them, but generally they can stay here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Okay, thank you very much for coming this morning. Certainly the need for our community in terms of providing this service, I think, is evident. And so we really appreciate you coming in this morning to give us an update, and welcome to the community.
Thank you very much for your time.
Our next delegation this morning is Pastor David Rock and his wife Phyllis from the Dawson Creek Ministerial Association, along with Carlos and Evangelina Galvez, the new representatives in our community for the Salvation Army. And they're in attendance this morning for a proclamation for hope for a better Christmas in our community. And so, welcome. Good morning. Nice to see you. No, we understand. No. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Good morning. The last time I saw them, I was at the school judging the gingerbread contest.
It was a great time it was.
Amazing, amazing morning. So welcome, welcome. Whereas our nation was founded upon godly principles, which includes loving one another by giving, caring, and sharing. And whereas the Salvation Army and the Dawson Creek and District Ministerial Association have served in our community for over 20 years. And whereas the citizens of Dawson Creek and District have continued these principles and continue to serve each other. And whereas Reverends David and Phyllis Rope have served our community for over 20 years. And whereas the above groups and people wish to serve our community with the Hope of a Better Christmas campaign, which providing the less fortunate members of our community during the month of December 2013. And now therefore I do hereby proclaim the month of December 2013 as Hope of a Better Christmas Month in Dawson Creek. So I had the pleasure of having a visit with Pastor Rope and Carlos and his wife, Evangeline, when they first came to the community about a month ago or 3 weeks ago. And so it's an absolute pleasure to welcome them, first of all, to our community. Certainly the community's been amazing, I think, in terms of the support that has given to the community and those in need over the years. And so it's an absolute pleasure to be able to present you with this proclamation this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if you'd like to say a few words to the...
Well, first of all, we want to thank you, all of you, for the reception and the way that you have received us here within the community. I want to apologize for my wife. She's very sick. The change of her climate, I think, hasn't fit too well on her, but she really wants to be here. We were married with many, as he said, and it was a good time, and she wanted to be here. Unfortunately, she has a lot of confidence she cannot be here. She didn't want to disturb you all. But we are pleased to be here. Definitely, we have felt the feeling of the community to help the rest of the community that have less fortunate, as we can say. And we have been going on many events where community pour out their hearts and giving food and donations. We still have a lot of more. Our plan is on the 24th of December to have the community meeting, meals for the community, and we'll be on our family services and 103. And we hope that everything will be fine. We have been gathering good food. We still have more, and we need more volunteers too for the Carol campaign that started last week too, and we've just been able to put it in a few places. But we hope that as we continue, I know that because there was no officers here, there was a kind of a gap there, but I hope that as people start knowing us, then we'll start once again helping us as we continue to help the community with your help, definitely. And we appreciate that. Thank you very much for allowing us to do that.
Just the only thing I want to challenge you is mayor and council maybe get involved in the Red Kettle campaign, or come down and help us serve a meal, or just see what we do as a community, a faith community together.
Yes,
So in the past, it didn't happen last year, but in the past we've received sort of a block of time where we could sign up to do the kettle. So it might be beneficial to provide us with that, so that I'm more than happy to ring the bell at the Safeway or the liquor store, wherever you've got them. But I missed it last year.
Yeah, we can get
Just a block of time that we might sign up for
Okay.
on a specific day.
I'll ask, in fact, that's a good point, and I'll ask Julie to follow up with Carlos, and we'll try and put a schedule together that works for mayor, council, and anyone else who'd like to volunteer. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming in again, and we wish you a hugely successful first Christmas season in Dawson Creek.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next delegation this morning, 6.5, is Joanna Coons and Kelly Svensson. The Stonewall Development Society are in attendance regarding an update on the water park project. and a request for support. Yes.
Through your worship, Joanna Kinson's called and she is snowed in, so they're not
Oh,
able to
okay.
attend this morning.
Thank you. So we'll have to catch them at the
Not
next
surprised.
opportunity. So that concludes our delegation information for this morning. So we'll move back into our agenda, and we'll go to item 8.1. Councillor Malkinson.
I move that we receive this report from our Director of Corporate Administration regarding the property maintenance bylaw, and that third reading of the property maintenance bylaw number 4190/2013 be rescinded, and that the proper bylaw be given the third reading as amended.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Parslow. Discussion? You ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Item 8.2. Councillor Parslow.
I'd like to move that report number 13-274 from the Chief Financial Officer, re 2014 Revenue Anticipation Borrowing Bylaw 4198 be received. Further, the Council give first three readings to Revenue Anticipation Borrowing Bylaw 4198 2013.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Malkinson. Discussion? For the purposes of the media and the guests that are here, could we just provide maybe through Shelley a quick overview of the revenue anticipation borrowing bylaw that we're passing?
Certainly, Your Worship. So every year we are required under the community charter to pass this bylaw, and basically what it does is it gives the city of Dawson Creek a credit line in the event that they need it. Over the last 2 years we haven't required it, but we still have to do it in the event that that comes up. So it's just a standard annual procedure that we do, and it's in place if we need it.
Thank you. Any further discussion or questions? You ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Item 8.3. Councillor Malkinson.
Your Worship, I would like to move that this report from the Director of Corporate Administration regarding the land sale bylaw, number 4197/2013, be received, and that the land sale bylaw number 4197/2013 be given first three readings, and further that staff be directed to amend the land sale policy to remove the covenant section that speaks to the rebate being considered in exchange for the value of the timely development.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Schumann. Discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Item 8.4. Councillor Schumann.
There's nothing to read. I'll move it.
There's no attachment.
It's just the land sale bylaw, 10201 10th Street, number 4196/2013, for consideration of adoption.
Thank you.
Second
Seconded
that.
by Councillor Wilbur. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. So the first, for me under Mayor's business today, I just have a few items that I'd like to bring forward. The first was, unfortunately, I missed the last council meeting, and so just prior to that, I did attend the Dawson Creek Exhibition Association Annual General Meeting. It was the same night as the Athletic Association AGM. So I attended and received a small token of appreciation from the Exhibition Association. It was very well attended by their membership, and so I appreciated the opportunity to be able to be there and represent council. This afternoon, we have the Stonewall Development Society delegation request, and so maybe I can get a update on that from administration.
Just the delegation, I was unable to attend,
Okay.
so we'll reschedule.
Thank you. We'll get them back on the agenda for our next opportunity. Over the weekend, I attended on Friday night the Dawson Creek and District Chamber of Commerce Small Business Christmas party up at the ski hill. Very well attended. It was a great evening. Thanks to Kathleen and the directors and the staff for again putting that event on. It was really a fun night, and unfortunately I had to leave early. I had another scheduled event, but I really appreciate the opportunity to attend and the work of the chamber again in helping put those community events on for our business community. Friday night and Saturday were also events that were scheduled in the community on behalf of the Northeast Métis Association, and they held their the Métis Nation of British Columbia were here. The president, Mr. Bruce Dumont, along with the members of the executive, and put on their regional meeting, and I attended those meetings as a member of the Métis Nation of British Columbia. And just it was a really good event to be able to be a part of and listen to the things that are going on in our community represented by the Métis Nation and the Métis community. Certainly it's, for me, I really appreciated the opportunity to be able to again interact with and reach out to the Métis Nation and not only represent myself but also as the mayor. There was an event took place last weekend at the Lakota Center, and it was put on by the Roping Club, and it was a fundraising event for a young family who suffered a tragedy in their family where a young husband was fatally injured in a motor vehicle crash, and the Roping Club put on a fundraising event in the center on Sunday, and they raffled off the steers as part of their roping thing. They raised $25,000 for this family, and the company that the young man worked for apparently matched that donation. And I received a note from the Roping Club expressing their appreciation to the city to be able to have the facilities that allows them to be able to not only participate in a sport that they enjoy and love to do, but then took the opportunity to raise some money for a family in our area and community. And I just thought it was such a great example, and I went down on Sunday to drop in, and it was amazing to me how busy and how many people were participating. And I think it's just one more of those events that take place in our community with the facilities that we have and available that add to that quality of life and build our community. And so I was really so pleased to see that take place. On Friday, with the assistance of Jim, I attended a meeting, luncheon meeting with the Reeve Hubert from Saddle Hills in Alberta, just our neighbors to the east, and the CAO of Saddle Hills. And it was really a great conversation and discussion about how we can sometimes work in partnership with our neighboring communities, and simply because there's a border to the east sometimes doesn't necessarily restrict or inhibit the opportunities that we should be exploring from my perspective, and certainly that was evidenced in our conversations with them on Friday afternoon. And an example of that is they represent that almost like our electoral areas and our regional district. The Reeve Hubert represents the area of I think it's Saddle Hills. Jim, is that the correct term?
The term of the name of the county is Saddle Hills. Reeve Hubert's specific area is Cotillion.
Yeah. And so he goes from Gunday all the way through Silver Valley, Savannah, Bonanza, out to Moonshine Lake, that area. And so it was amazing to me when you start, and so they participate with, as an example, in providing some funding support to the Toms Lake Volunteer Fire Department, because they provide the service and support in Toms Lake to Gundy, which is in that area. And so part of the conversation we got into was the infrastructure that they develop and are building in Saddle Hills could have some there could be some really positive opportunities for us to engage in conversation and discussion. And we talk about water as being a significant issue for us, and sure, water was, and the survey and all that component was part of our conversation today. And Saddle Hills County are looking at developing a water infrastructure for their community. And so there's an example to me of where we should be engaging in conversation and discussion to look at opportunities that may be beneficial for us both to explore and understand. And so it was very worthwhile, and sometimes we look only to the west in terms of those opportunities, and because of that border, we don't take into consideration maybe there's opportunities in Saddle Hills with our neighbors. And those people in Saddle Hills, Bonanza, Baytree, all use Dawson Creek as their home community for services and trading and et cetera. So I think it just was a really interesting and engaging conversation that I'm going to explore in more detail, and certainly I think there's some benefits for us to do that. Councillor Malkinson asked about the strategic planning exercise. I have received the feedback from council. I am exploring the opportunities of what and how the process and structure that I want to bring forward to council for 2014. I am engaging that as we speak. The gentleman that I'm looking at engaging now is just back into the unavailable, so I'll be having that conversation this week, and then I'll bring forward a full overview to council in terms of what and how I think we should proceed with that. Councillor Parslow?
If you finished
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. I was looking forward to some comments about the regional district, your deliberations as a member of the regional district board.
Sure, and I'll absolutely do that as well. And so, we started our development meetings last week. We raised it about a month ago maybe, that we were going to start engaging our community with meetings with our developers, the realtors, and contractors in our communities to start to talk and understand a little bit about the development that's going on in our community. What are some of the implications of that development? What's working? What isn't working? What's the policy and structure? And to me, I think it's just a really important conversation and discussion that we have with these people to understand the implications of what's coming to our community. We started those meetings last week. It's a huge commitment, in my view, that I really appreciate from council, because the first meeting on last Tuesday or Wednesday was our first investor. We had every member of council there in attendance with Kevin from administration. And I think, to me, it just demonstrates to us, first of all, that we are interested in understanding the implications of the development in our community. What is working, what isn't working, just that conversation and discussion. And so I really appreciate council's agreement to do that. It's going to be time consuming because we can't meet with them as a group because of the competitive aspects of their business. It's less likely to get that engagement and conversation and discussion that we need to understand the development that's going on in our community. And so we probably are going to have a series of upwards of 12 or 15 meetings coming in the coming weeks. I don't expect we'll get them completed until into January. And at the end of it, we will provide an overview, a full overview to council and the public, and back to the people that we met with in terms of understanding some of the information and what we need to know and to do, and to how we can be better at ensuring that we put sound structure, we put sound policy in place for the development for our community, and minimize the risks to our community if we see significant development occur that is a big dollar item for us. So I really appreciate, again, council's willingness to participate in those, and I think it sends a strong message in our community that we are willing to listen, we are willing to have a conversation and discussion. And Councillor Parslow raised it earlier about how do we engage in conversation and communication. And to me, that's one way that we are demonstrating that. I attended Peace River Regional District on Thursday. The very controversial building bylaw was again, it was repealed in the attendance that Councillor Schumann 2 weeks prior. The meeting on Thursday, it was brought forward again. there was information brought forward to the Peace River Regional District that there are people out there in the middle of constructing new homes and structures that have a building permit in place, and now without the bylaw, without any governance policy or structure, there's no way that gives the Peace River Regional District therefore have any authority with which to carry out the building inspection process. And so there are people out there today who we were informed at the regional district meeting who, without having that building inspection process and building permit, are unable to complete the construction, they're unable to complete the process of obtaining a occupancy permit with the completion of the building inspection, as a result of which are unable to complete their financing. And so it's left them with a fairly significant hole. And so what the regional district are doing, and they're having a special meeting this morning at 10 o'clock, and the chair of the board has repealed and brought it back to the board. And today a resolution was being brought forward that those people who currently have a building permit will have the authority then to be able to give the building inspection process the authority to complete it. And anyone who voluntarily applies for a building permit can do so, and the Peace River Regional District will then provide that support in building inspection and completing that process. You know, so I had a fair amount of conversation and interaction over the weekend from people in the regional district and in the community concerned about the regional district repealing this bylaw. And so I just want to clarify it from my perspective that the regional district isn't repealing and bringing back building bylaw number 1996. What they're bringing back in the resolution is to put in place the authority for the regional district to have a building bylaw, a building inspection process in place for the residents who choose to apply for that building permit, and gives the regional district then and the building inspectors the authority to complete it. There's some implications to me in terms of this that I'm going to speak to at the regional district meeting if I get there this morning.
You will.
But there's an insurance component for people, and the city of Dawson Creek experienced the insurance aspect of, in 1998 when the arena collapsed in our community, and the building insurers at the time, I can't remember, was it Wawanesa? Jim? Zurich? Denied the claim to us because they said there was a latent defect in the construction of that facility. And a latent defect is a component within the construction that should have been disclosed or completed properly, and it wasn't, and therefore the insurers denied the claim because they said it wasn't completed and constructed, or it hasn't been completed and constructed properly. And in every homeowner's insurance policy, there is that wording of a latent defect. The insurers will not insure a latent defect. And so at the end of any standard wording of a homeowner's policy or an insurance policy, it says, if there's any material components that have not been disclosed to the company that are material to the risk or the structure, then the policy will be null and void. And so from my perspective, I really am concerned that there's a risk to a homeowner or someone out in the community that has an insurance policy, and if there's no governance structure, if there's no policy in place to administer how those buildings are built, are inspected to determine quality for the insurer, is there a potential the insurer says to the homeowner, because there's no building inspection process in place, that we can ensure, that we as the insurer, and I'm just speaking from my own perspective of my years in the insurance game, that they say we have no structure in place to assure ourselves that the building has been built properly and adheres to all of the various codes of plumbing, electrical, gas, if there's no inspection process. And therefore, do the insurers say, one, you're not insured, or if you have a loss, that is material, we should have been knowing that, and we are not going to pay for the loss. And or the bigger issue is, what if the insurers come and say, because there is no governance policy in place for a building inspection, that we are not going to write any coverage in the Peace River District. And if they get to that, then all of a sudden they say, well, if I can get coverage, it's going to be hugely expensive. And it's a significant issue to me in terms of ensuring that the regional community understand that some of the components that mortgage brokers, the insurance companies, the underwriters, the risk managers rely on a governance policy in place to provide that assurance to themselves that they're not taking on a risk or a potential risk that they weren't aware of and that they potentially should have. And so I did some work on it on the weekend. I did do some reading, and so I'm going to raise that component at our meeting this morning. But for me, the issue is not bringing back building bylaw 1996. It's just understanding all of the implications so that people make informed decisions, have that understanding of what it is they're asking for. And so there's my report on regional district.
Well, yes, I mean, I'm sure everyone's had comments made to them at this table here, because the implications, I'm just amazed, though, at the meeting 2 weeks ago, that the implications the decision would have on people wishing to borrow money or have mortgages. I mean, you're not saying that the people who made that decision were not aware of that 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I think, Charlie, the emotions of how decisions are made sometimes get lost in terms of all of the information. And I know there was a ton of meetings took place over the last 3 or 4 or 5 months in the community, and huge participation by the rural people. And so, to me, I think that's now you need to make really good informed decisions based on kind of what the information is, and ensure that it works for everyone and not just for the emotions of people who are really upset and concerned about it. And I don't know what took place in the past, but I certainly, from my perspective, we need to ensure we have a policy, a process in place to allow people who want to have a building inspection, to have a building permit, to have that opportunity, because otherwise it's going to really impact the development opportunities for the people who want to build in the rural area.
There was a report, a lengthy report from staff, but it followed the report or the decision, and so it was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever seen. Like, we couldn't even go, we tried to vary it to go to that report, and like the pressure put on the regional district over the summer, and like I have to say, it was pretty in-your-face pressure, and of course I don't really react very well to in-your-face pressure, and so I didn't really take that into consideration, but yeah, it was a bit of a gong show out there the last meeting. The gallery was full. There was all sorts of yelling and cursing, and it was pretty intense. The police were there, and yeah, and in the end there was only 3 people that voted against rescinding it. So I hope they make it right.
Councillor
Just a
Bartlett.
question then. I mean, so as I understand, and I'm just trying to flow this back to the city business, we have a report by staff that could not be considered because of where it was placed on the agenda, because you had this other business that came earlier on in the agenda. That was dealt with without any consideration of the report. What do we have to prevent that happening in this city?
Jim?
Through your worship, the goodwill and good intentions of council.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's engagement and there's engagement.
Yes.
So when you're casting about for changes in your engagement policy, the regional district heard often from the same people, which is not the same as hearing often from many people. And we have to keep that in mind as we structure engagement processes.
Thank you. So that's it for mayor's business.
Good, because you have an important meeting to get to it.
So, next item, item 10, is the diary.
Yes, and Duncan will come forward and give a very brief report, respectful of our time constraints. And that the fact that the media have all left to go to the regional district meeting.
Oh, really? I got somebody else going to that meeting.
Duncan?
Okay, so good morning. Really brief update. We're working with Hagee Construction right now on the construction agreement. We're following the CCDC Construction Association agreement as we did before. Lays out the parameters, and the tender documents we gave Hagee Construction also makes up part of that agreement as well. So most of it's in place. It's just getting it signed and working on some of the details, because they are coming into a building that is already constructed somewhat. So just working those out. And we will have the keys over to Hagee in December. They're mobilizing their trades already. They've been talking to them. The press release that we put out is enough for them to get mobilized, even though the contract's not signed. They'll have the keys in December. As soon as we sign the contract, they will be in the building. The brunt of the work won't start until January.
Thank you, Duncan.
Okay, any
Thanks,
questions?
Duncan.
Any questions? Thank
Get
you.
her done.
Okay.
Get her done, get her done.
Consent calendar, items to be reviewed.
Mike?
Yes, Councillor Schumann.
Yeah, I move that.
Move. Seconded, Councillor Malkinson. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Strategic priorities chart.
Yes, Your Worship, you will see that the corporate priorities for council, all except KPAC future expressions of interest, have been accomplished by council. And of course, KPAC is hopeful that you won't dedicate a future for the building that they're in now until they're not in that building anymore. So that one really couldn't be actioned this year. In terms of the department head priorities, each department head will report off to you at the December 16th meeting of their final progress on their strategic priorities for the year. So basically, it's wrapped up.
Good. Thank you. Question and answer?
No one signed up, Your Worship.
No committee of the whole? Media question period. We have no closed.
Motion
To adjourn. Councillor Wilbur, Councillor Malkinson, all in favor, opposed? It's carried. Thank you, you guys, everybody.